He died, screaming. Captain Ryven Hale's final breath was a roar of defiance, not fear. The thermonuclear core detonation obliterated the oncoming Xerix fleet and Hale, with it saving Earth from annihilation. In the final seconds, all he felt was heat, and pride. Then blackness, and yet he awoke. He gasped as sensation returned to his body like a flood breaching a dam. Pain pulsed through his muscles, then receded like a tide being drawn back by alien hands. Cool light bathed his skin. Something soft cradled him, warmer than any Earth hospital bed. He blinked against the glow and saw her. She wasn't human, slender, yet strong. Her lavender skin shimmered beneath a translucent robe. Silvery hair flowed down her shoulders like stardust, and her luminous emerald eyes watched him with a blend of clinical interest and something deeper. You shouldn't be alive, she murmured, voice like liquid crystal. And yet you are. His throat burned. Where am I? The alien woman, he later learned her name was Lysthara, pressed a glowing palm to his chest, directly over his heart. Safe, for now, but not unchanged. He flinched under her touch. There was no pain, only a warmth that spread through him like a drug, a presence that lingered long after her hand withdrew. She turned to a console shaped like a lotus unfolding under starlight, adjusting something. Her robe slipped slightly, revealing the curve of her shoulder. What, are you doing to me? Hale croaked, voice raw. Saving you, she said without looking at him, or at least, remaking you. This was no ordinary healing. His body felt stronger, leaner, regenerated. But there was something else. His cells hummed. His nerves sang a new song. He could feel her, not just in the room, but in him, as if her essence had been infused with his. You died, she said, walking toward him again. Sacrificed yourself. Your bravery triggered something, ancient in our kind, a healer's instinct, and a mating imprint. Hale blinked. Mating, it's forbidden, she whispered, leaning in. Her breath was cool against his cheek. But your sacrifice awakened a biological bond. I could have let you drift into oblivion. Instead, I pulled you into me, reconstructed you from my essence. He didn't know whether to feel honored or violated, but the way her eyes lingered on him, curious, possessive, reverent as his resistance. I'm not yours, he said hoarsely. Her smirk was devastating. Not yet. Lysthara guided his hand to her chest. Her heart pulsed beneath his palm, synchronizing with his. The sensation was electric, primal. His instincts flared in confusion. This wasn't just medical. It was sensual nourishment. She had infused him with her life force, and perhaps more. I don't understand, he murmured, unable to pull away. It's not something your people have words for, she said. You are a sacrificed hero. I am your resonant. The bond formed when I chose to save you, not with tools, but with intimacy, spiritual and cellular. His body responded to her nearness in ways both human and altered. Whatever she had done to save him, it had awakened something more than mere survival. His flesh yearned, his senses heightened, and in her presence, every breath felt tethered to her own. You remade me with you, she nodded. I bled for you, gave you my core fluids or version of life milk. My essence is part of you now. You are alive, because I needed you to be. Her confession shattered the barrier between rescuer and patient. He wasn't just healed. He was hers. You saved my life. For what? To make me yours? He asked, searching her eyes. No, she whispered, to see if you would choose to be. Outside the starship's window, distant galaxies spun silently. But inside that softly lit chamber, time stood still. Ryven's pulse beat in rhythm with hers. Her hand still rested on his chest. Her gaze never wavered, and something ancient stirred between them more than biology. Something like fate. The following days were a haze of strange sensations and growing tension. Ryven remained confined to the healing chamber, though confined wasn't quite the right word. The room was spacious, luminous, pulsing with soft energy. It felt more like a sacred temple than a med bay. But it was her presence, Lysthara's quiet power, that dominated it. She rarely left his side at first. She treated him as a fragile relic, applying the luminous bomb of her alien medicine, nourishing him with glowing elixirs that tingled down his throat and settled warmly in his core. But as his body healed, evolved, so did the atmosphere between them. Every gesture became a conversation. Every brush of her hand sent a shiver across his skin. Her alien scent was intoxicating, a mix of ozone, starlight, and something uniquely hers. He didn't know if it was a side effect of her essence inside him, or something deeper. A pull, a connection. "I can feel you," he whispered one evening as she hovered beside his bed. Adjusting the nutrient feed, her hand paused mid-air. Slowly, she turned, her eyes shimmering. "Yes, ... the bond grows." He sat up. "It's not just healing. Something inside me ... reaches for you." She came closer, almost cautiously, as if afraid her presence might overwhelm him. "It's the imprint. When I poured my essence into you, your body recognized me. You were becoming resented." He swallowed hard. "And what does that mean for me?" "For us, it means," she murmured, brushing her fingers across his bare shoulder, "we are no longer healer and patient. We are something more. You are part of me, and I ... am bound to you." Her fingers trailed down his chest, following the faint bioluminescent markings, now lacing his skin veins of pale blue light that pulsed in rhythm with hers. A map of connection. He caught her wrist gently. "You saved me with more than science." Lysthara didn't deny it. "You were dying. I could not bear it. That's not medicine." "No," she said softly. "It's instinct and desire." The word crackled between them. For all her ethereal beauty and alien elegance, she radiated power. She was not soft. She was sovereign, dominant in her stillness, commanding even in her mercy. This was a power reversal romance unfolding in real time. The human war hero who once commanded fleets, now reborn under the healing touch and silent dominance of an alien nurse whose will he couldn't resist. She leaned in, inches from his face. "You were not just rebuilt, you were reborn. Your heart," she placed her hand over it again. "That same gesture from before. It no longer beats for war. It beats for survival, for connection." "And yours?" he asked, his voice rough. "What does yours beat for?" Her lips hovered near his. "You." His world tilted. Their lips met not in hunger, but in slow ignition. The first contact was exploratory, reverent, like the communion of two souls rediscovering themselves in one another. Her taste was electric, strange and addictive. His hands gripped her waist, discovering her form beneath the robe curves that defied her otherworldly appearance, warmth that betrayed her cool composure. As their kiss deepened, the soft lights of the chamber intensified, echoing their rising tension. Her body slid against his, breath catching, her control slipping but never breaking. I'm not afraid of what you've done to me, he whispered against her neck. Only of what? I want now, ... Because it's not just survival. Say it, she urged, breath trembling. I want you. Her robe fell to the floor like mist dissolving in moonlight. She guided him back onto the bed with a strength that surprised him, straddling his lap. Her glowing palms pressed to his chest, grounding him with alien energy and unbearable intimacy. Their bond fled, bodies pressed, pulses merged, sensations layered. It was no longer healing. It was claiming. This was not just human-alien romance. It was an intergalactic love story being written in flesh and breath. She had brought him back from death not to save a life, but to complete one, and as her body curved to his imperfect synchrony, Ryven finally understood. He hadn't survived the war. He'd been chosen for something far more dangerous and far more sacred. Ryven awoke, tangled in silk-like sheets, the warmth of Lytara's body still clinging to his skin like a second soul. He didn't remember falling asleep, only the sensation of being unraveled and rewoven in her arms, the way her breath had matched his, the glowing runes that had bloomed across their joined skin. Her touch had etched itself into him, not just physically, but at the deepest level of his being. He sat up slowly, his body sore in a new way, not from pain, but from pleasure stretched across unfamiliar dimensions. Lytara wasn't in the chamber. The space felt ... colder without her. Not physically, her ship's climate was meticulously calibrated, but emotionally. Like the light missed her presence. The door slid open and she stepped in, cloaked in her sheer robes once more, a strange look dancing behind her alien eyes. Not shame, not regret. Something closer to restraint, like a fire she was barely containing. See, you're awake, she said calmly, walking toward him with a datapad in hand. Good, we need to talk. He smirked, stretching, his body humming with residual arousal. Morning after lecture, her lips twitched. If you were any other species, I'd have erased last night and sealed the bond. Erased it. His amusement vanished. Why would you even? Because what we've done breaks my oath. I am a healer, and I used my gifts not only to save you, ... but to bind you. Ryven stood, fully exposed, but unashamed. You didn't force me, no, she whispered, but I influenced you. You were under regeneration. My essence saturated your cells. Even your desires may not be entirely your own. He approached her slowly, placing his hand over hers, wrapping his fingers around the datapad until she let it drop. Do you feel like I was manipulated? She closed her eyes, trembling slightly. No, that's the worst part. He kissed her again, not with desperation this time, but clarity. She responded with equal restraint, until he broke away just enough to whisper, Then don't run from this. Don't deny what we already are. Her breath caught. You don't understand the cost. Then tell me. She turned from him and activated a wall panel. Holograms lit the room, rotating helix patterns, heart rate syncs, and a glowing red emblem blinking in warning. You are evolving, she said. Your human physiology has accepted diffusion beyond expectation. You now produce traces of my healing essence yourself. You're no longer fully human, Ryven. You're becoming something ... new. He absorbed the revelation in silence, and then, am I dying again? No, quite the opposite. You're becoming immortal by our standards. But there's a consequence. Her voice lowered. You cannot return to Earth. Your presence would destabilize your world's biology. Your pheromonal output is already affecting the fauna stored in our medical bay. On Earth, you'd become a living biohazard or a weapon. So, this was the price of the sacrificed hero romance, not just death, but rebirth without a home. You saved me, he said bitterly, but now I don't belong anywhere. You belong here, she said fiercely, with me, and not because of the bond or biology, but because I chose you. Silence fell. He watched her, watched the restraint cracking at her edges. This wasn't just a healer's guilt. It was a lover's fear. I didn't fall for your power, Lytara, he said. I fell for your mercy. That broke her. She rushed into him, lips crashing into his with a need that was no longer medical, no longer instinctual. She wanted him not as a patient, not as a project, but as an equal. Clothes vanished in glimmers of starlight. Her body melted into his once more, but this time slower, deeper. There was no rush to escape death, no duty, no guilt. This was indulgence, worship, surrender. The room pulsed with their union, radiant trails of biolight rising from their skin as their resonant bond deepened, spiraling toward permanence. And in the heat of that embrace, he whispered, "Make me yours again." She did, and this time, when sleep claimed him, it wasn't out of exhaustion or sedation, it was peace. Ryven's dreams were filled with stars, not the cold, distant kind from telescopes, but warm, living constellations that pulsed in rhythm with his own body. He floated through them, tethered by something unseen until he felt her hand again, pulling him gently back into waking. Lytara sat beside him, eyes closed, fingers resting on his chest. She was meditating, no, communing. He could feel her mind brushing against his, soft as silk but deliberate. Their connection wasn't just emotional or physical now, was psychic. The bond had evolved. When her eyes opened, he was already watching her. "You're inside my thoughts now." She nodded slowly. "Not to intrude, but the fusion is complete. You are no longer separate from me. My essence has woven into every cell." He sat up, rolling his shoulders. "I feel ... everything. And I feel you." Her voice trembled with awe, as if even she hadn't anticipated the depth of their fusion. His hand found hers again, and for a moment they simply sat, breathing in sync. The quiet hum of the ship, a soft heartbeat beneath them. But peace, like all things, was temporary. The door burst open. A sharp-boned figure, clad in armor of obsidian. An emerald stepped in, another alien, taller than Ryven, with hard eyes and a voice like cracking stone. "Lytara, what have you done?" She stood slowly, her robe whispering across the floor. "Vale, this is not your domain. You broke protocol. You mated with a human. You bonded with him through sacred nourishment rituals without council approval. This is treason." Ryven rose beside her. "She saved me." Vale's stare drilled. "Into him you should have died. That was your species' role. A noble death. Not this ... abomination." Ryven stepped forward. "You call me an abomination, but you're standing in the presence of something new, something your rules couldn't imagine. Isn't that what your kind claims to seek evolution?" Vale's expression darkened. "And what happens when this evolution infects the galaxy? Our mating instincts were never meant to bind with humans. You're a ticking biological time bomb. Your pheromones are already distorting the flora in our storage vaults." Lytara moved between them, glowing with resolve. "Then we leave." Vale blinked. "What?" She turned to Ryven. The bond can't be hidden, and I won't let them dissect you for their science. I have a vessel, a Skyrunner class. I designed it for planetary relief missions, but it's fast, cloaked, and self-sustaining. You're going rogue, Vale hissed. I'm choosing love over law. Her declaration hung in the air, crystalline and unbreakable. They moved quickly after that. Lytara packed only the essentials vials of her essence, medical tech, bonding tools. Ryven donned an adaptive suit that shimmered like liquid steel. Across his skin, custom formed to accommodate the biolight that now pulsed from his veins. They fled through hidden corridors of the medical citadel, her hand never once leaving his dot. By the time the alarms sounded, they were already gonstars streaking past the viewport as their ship, the Vow, broke through the edge of regulated space. Inside the ship's core chamber, Ryven leaned against a glowing console. So now we're fugitives. Lytara moved to him, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. We're free. He turned in her arms, staring into her eyes. Why risk everything for me? She traced the markings on his jaw, light-infused remnants of her essence. Because, in all my centuries as a healer, I never met a soul who chose death for others. You died with no expectation of return. That kind of sacrifice, awakened something sacred. He kissed Herslow, deep, reverent. You gave me back more than life. Their embrace turned hungry, desperate in a new way, not for pleasure, but for reassurance. They had defied a system, a civilization, for something as fragile as love. Yet, in that small ship, drifting through the dark between stars, their bond burned brighter than any sun. He lifted her gently, carrying her to the sleep chamber. Their bodies already responding, already attuned. They made love again, not as healer and patient, not even as alien and human, but as two souls fused by fate and fire. Their climax wasn't just physical, it was cosmic. Their pulses surged together in harmonic resonance, and for a moment, Ryven saw through her eyes, felt her past, her pain, her longing, and knew that this wasn't just a human-alien romance. This was a paraivocal romance that rewrote the definition of union. And somewhere in the deep dark, the stars watched, in silence. The stars had changed. Ryven stood at the observation deck of the Vow, watching unknown constellations drift past. Each system they passed was a step farther from Earth, farther from the rules that once defined them both. Yet he felt no grief, no loss, because beside him stood lighter alien healer, fugitive queen, and now, his mate. She joined him in silence, her fingers slipping between his. You're different now, she said softly. He nodded. So are you. Their bond had reached its final phase. The transformation inside Ryven had stabilized. He was no longer fully human, nor fully alien. He was something new, an evolutionary crossbreed, biologically designed by love, not science. His blood carried traces of her regenerative serum. His mind resonated with hers across vast emotional frequencies. Others will come for us, he said. You know that. I do. Her voice didn't waver. But we are not prey. There was no more fear in her, only fire. In the following weeks, they created a new sanctuary, a hidden moon cloaked by ion storms and rich with flora that responded to their combined biosignatures. There, in the jungles of glowing moss and crystalline vines, they built more than a home. They built a temple of union. Their shared essence began to seed the land. Flowers bloomed in their presence. Wildlife evolved rapidly, echoing their merged energy. What they shared was no longer just a love story. It had become a Genesis and intergalactic love story, unfolding across nature itself. But their peace didn't last. The Council found them. 6 ships tore through the storm clouds, their hulls bristling with weaponry. Drones buzzed overhead. Lytara stood at the edge of a cliff, radiant in armor crafted from Ryven's fused skinnius. They had grown it together, bonded matter between lovers. Beside her, Ryven stepped forward, his veins glowing beneath his skin like starlit rivers. A projection shimmered before them. Councillor Vale, return with us, Lytara, the figure demanded, before your treason destroys more than yourself. Ryven stepped between them. You fear us because we changed the rules. You broke sacred law, Vale snarled. We wrote new ones, Ryven said, voice booming like thunder. You speak of contamination, but look at what we've become. Our bond didn't corrupt, it created. Lytara raised her palm, and the jungle around them lit up, flowers opening, animals bowing. The land itself hummed with their union. You fear what love becomes when it escapes control, she said, and then the impossible happened. One of the council ships withdrew. A signal blinked. A pilot defected, drawn not by reason, but by resonance. Lytara's bond had begun to spread, reaching hearts not through orders or weapons, but instinct. More ships faltered. The council fell back. In the aftermath, Ryven collapsed to one knee, energy drained. Lytara rushed to him, hands glowing. You used too much. He looked up at her, grinning. Worth it. She pressed her forehead to his, whispering ancient words of union. Her lips brushed his, reigniting the fire even through exhaustion. Later that night, as they lay entwined beneath the open sky, starlight glowing against their bare skin, Lytara whispered, You were never meant to die on that battlefield. Ryven smiled, tracing the curve of her waist. Maybe that's because death was never my end. It was my doorway, to you. Their fingers intertwined once more, and as the stars watched, silently from above, the sacrificed hero and the alien healer proved that some fates are forged not in war, but in mercy and love. Together, they wrote a new chapter of evolution where biology bent to intimacy, where war gave way to rebirth, and where a human-alien romance dared to challenge the galaxy's oldest laws. Their story was no longer a secret, it was a legacy.